Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Right off the bat on the old show today, the Ram 1500 Eco Diesel, one of the first diesel versions of a half-ton pickup truck ever for sale in the U.S. market. And apparently this thing is a hit in a big way. Ram Trucks is now talking about upping the production of this particular machine. In fact, this has got some pretty impressive numbers when it comes to this particular deal. In fact, now Ram Trucks claims that 20% of all production will be diesel versions of the Ram pickup truck, which that means, according to the folks over at Autoline.tv, that 1 out of every 5 Ram pickup trucks produced now will have a diesel engine. Now, of course, this means that it's not just going to be the 1500. We're also talking about the 2500, or the 3/4 ton, or the 3500 being the ton truck. These vehicles have been selling very well with diesel variants for many years. But the 1500, apparently this diesel craze may be catching on here in the U.S. market. Next up on the list, well, guess what? At the Paris Motor Show, Honda's showing off the Civic Type R Concept 2. Yes, remember when they showed this off? I think it was at Geneva last year. That was the Concept 1. This is the Concept 2. Now, again, this vehicle is going to be the most powerful Type R ever built, being a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, putting out 276 brake horsepower. Be able to do 0 to 60 numbers, they're thinking somewhere around about 5.5 seconds with a top speed of 155 miles an hour. Now, I've seen this thing a lot in photographs, especially doing some testing around the old Nordschleife loop, so this thing's going to look quite a bit like this, but we'll wait and see. Some of these sharp edges may get a little bit more rounded off. Now, the folks over at topspeed.com are reporting that this particular machine's got one little arrow extra in its quiver that wasn't on the Concept 1. The Concept 2 has a small R button, which is mounted right on the steering wheel. Apparently, when you hit this button, it sharpens up everything. The braking, the steering, the throttle response, everything like that. Now, that's very, very reminiscent from back in the day. You remember the V10 version of the BMW M5. It too had an M button on the steering wheel, which if you didn't press that, the V10 only made 400 brake horsepower. If you pushed that button, it made 500 brake horsepower, and again, it sharpened up everything and made it more M5-like, which is something to be said because the BMW 5 Series is somewhat of a luxury car, so knocking off some horsepower, making everything a little bit softer, seems like a good idea. But for this car, is that really necessary to make it softer? And if it were me, I think I would just glue that button on all the time, unless it does something pretty fantastic like the gauges change colors or something like that. That would be pretty slick to mess with every time. But I think all I would be doing is hitting that R button right after firing up the engine. Next up on the list, well, the Mercedes-Benz S63 AMG makes its debut at the Paris Motor Show, but the biggest story out of this is going to be official U.S. pricing for this particular machine. And I have to say, Mercedes has been knocking it out of the ballpark with some of their designs. This S63 Coupe is fantastic to look at. And it's got a fair amount of grunt as well, as it comes with a 5.5-liter twin turbocharged V8, putting out 577 brake horsepower and 664 pounds-feet of torque. Now, to be able to do 0 to 60 in just 4.3 seconds, and you get all of this goodness at a starting asking price in the U.S. market of $160,900 US. Now, you do have to kick in another $1,000 for destination fees, but it's still, well, it's still kind of expensive, but not to mention this thing is fantastic. Imagine having this in your driveway. And last up on the list, some official numbers about the Chevrolet Corvette. No, we're not going to talk about more about that mid-engine rumor mill stuff, even though a lot more rumors have come out over the past several days. No, we're going to talk about official performance numbers for the top-of-the-line C7 Corvette Z06. This particular machine comes with a 6.2-liter supercharged V8, putting out 650 brake horsepower and 650 pounds-feet of torque. Now, the most important number, the one you're probably all waiting for, is the 0 to 60 numbers. The folks over at Motor Authority are claiming that this vehicle will do 2.95 seconds in its dash to 60, but that's with the 8-speed automatic transmission. If you go with the manual transmission, it's going to knock a little bit off of the ET, only being able to do it in 3.2 seconds, which had those folks cracking this pretty hilarious joke, at least to me. That's just the reality of rowing your own cogs these days. That was the folks over at Motor Authority blaming that. That was pretty doggone hilarious, at least in my book. Now, let's talk about the stopping distance for this machine. Last one of them I can remember was 110 feet, and that was for the Audi R8. This particular machine, from 60 to 0, does it in 99.6 feet. Yeah, that's going to rip your face right off as far as the deceleration G's that this thing can put out. Now, speaking of G's, lateral G's, meaning cornering G's in this particular machine, is over 1 full G, which is hugely impressive, coming in at 1.2 full G's in lateral cornering acceleration. Now, you can get all this fantastic goodness for just a low, low price of $78,995 US, but that is the actual starting price. There's a lot of options that can go on this particular machine, which can get it well over $100,000 US, but it's still the best performance, the most high-performing Chevrolet Corvette ever built, at least until the next one comes along. But still, pretty neat piece of kit. Will be coming to U.S. dealers and hopefully around the world very soon. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. If you want to jump on over to the Facebook page, the link's down in the show notes. If you like us over there, we'd appreciate it. Also, if you want to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time. Get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they come out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon.